Okay, so hopefully a couple people jump in the next few minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and get started with my lesson. We're going to be talking about eggs, chicken eggs, and what's inside of them. So Elena, I don't know if that's your name or if that's just the name you're using. In your top right-hand corner of your screen, it should say speaker view or gallery view. If you want to make sure that my screen is front and center, make sure it says speaker view at the top and you just click it to change it. Make sure you stay on mute, but I think you're good. If you have any questions, you're welcome to type them into the chat box at the bottom, or you can write them down and we can talk about them later. And let's get started. So I'm going to share. Beautiful picture of me.
Hi, future scientists. My name is Rachel, and I'm a 4-H educator here in Marion County. I have a cool activity that you can do at home to learn all about what's inside of a chicken egg. Listen in while I explain the complex world of what's underneath the shell of an egg. But first, I have some questions. Do you know where eggs come from? There are lots of animals that lay eggs: birds, most insects, alligators and crocodiles, and many other animals. The eggs that most families have in their refrigerators come from chickens. Mammals like humans grow babies inside of their mom's bellies, but animals that lay eggs, called oviparous animals, lay eggs, then the babies grow inside of the eggshell. Why do animals like chickens lay eggs? All girl animals that lay eggs do so because it's their job. Sometimes these eggs are fertilized by a boy chicken, called a rooster, so that a baby chick will grow inside the egg. Some eggs are laid without the help of a rooster though, and those are called unfertilized eggs. This means no chicken will grow inside the shell. These unfertilized eggs are sent to grocery stores and restaurants to be used in recipes like omelets, cakes, and egg salad sandwiches. So don't worry, you will never crack a grocery store egg open and accidentally find a chick. Now I want to talk about what's inside an egg. How do parts inside a fertilized egg help a chick survive? While the chick is growing, how does it eat and breathe? Let's find out by learning all about the things that are inside of an egg. First we have the air cell, which is a small pocket of air that forms between the membranes at the egg's wider end, a source of air for the chick when it starts to breathe soon before it hatches. The albumin, commonly known as the egg white, and it surrounds the yolk. It's composed of water and dissolved protein, and it provides food for the growing embryo. It keeps the embryo moist and cushioned when the hen sits on the egg and turns it. The chalaza, which is 2 ropes of egg white that hold the yolk in the center of the egg. The germ spot, which is the white spot on the yolk that shows if an egg is fertile or not. Membranes, which are 2 thin transparent layers of protein. One holds the yolk and one holds the albumin, and the membranes keep bacteria from getting inside. The shell, which is the hard outer covering, made of calcium carbonate, and it protects the growing chick. And the yolk. It's stored food to feed the embryo while it grows. It contains vitamins and minerals, some fat, and more protein than the white. It's almost used up by the time that the chick hatches. On the screen, I have a worksheet so we can see where all of the parts are. Let's label each part of the egg, then we can crack a real egg open and take a look for ourselves. So the first is the shell, which we should all see because that's the white part that we see on the outside of the egg. The air pocket is that dark spot on the side. It's at the wider end of the shell. The yolk, when you crack an egg open, it's the yellow part. So it's this middle circle. The albumin, which is the same thing as the whites of the egg, which makes up most of the inside of the egg, all the way around the yolk. The membranes are really hard to see, but they surround the albumin, so right underneath the shell, and there's also a membrane right around the yolk. The chalazae, which is those two white ropes that you can see on each side of the yolk, and then the germ spot, which we may have some issues finding when we crack an egg open, but it's the tiny little white spot on the yellow yolk. So now let's crack open an egg that I had in my refrigerator. I bought this from the grocery store, so it isn't fertilized. Here's the carton it came in. Remember, unfertilized means there's no way for a chick to grow inside the shell, and it is just to be used for eating. Some parts will be hard to see once I've cracked it open, but let's see what I can find. So here's my egg. Let's crack it open. And be very careful because you don't want to break the yolk. So, this white part is the shell. I'm sure you guys knew that one. And then this yellow part here in the middle is that yolk. It's the part that feeds the chick while it's growing. The chick has a little umbilical cord just like human embryos do, and it absorbs the yolk through the umbilical cord. This clear part, kind of yellow, around the yolk is that albumin. It turns white when you cook it, and that's why we call it the egg white. There's these little ropes, you can kind of see it. Right there, there's one. I think there might be one underneath. And those are called the chalazae. And then there's a membrane, but it's really hard to see once you've cracked it open. But there was one just inside the shell. And then there's one that's right around the yolk. But again, it's pretty hard to see. And then there's this tiny little germ spot. I don't know if you can see it, but there's this itty bitty white dot right at the end of my spoon. And it looks different if the egg is fertilized. And the last part is the air pocket, but you can't see it once the shell is cracked open. It was at the thicker end of our eggshell. Now you try. Ask permission to print off the handout with the different parts of the egg, or draw the egg and its parts on a piece of paper. Then label each part like we did together. Then, with the parents' help, crack an egg open onto a plate or into a bowl. Be very careful because you don't want to break the yolk. And make sure you wash your hands before and after looking through the inside of your egg. Once the egg is cracked, see if you can point out each part. If you can call yourself a real scientist because you learned all about fertilized and unfertilized eggs. Congratulations!
All right, so if you're still there, maybe Elena or whatever your name is, I have a few questions. I'm gonna pop them up on the screen. Yay, hello. Okay, see if you're paying attention. I've got quiz now. So my first question is, what part of the egg does the chick use for food? Do you see it up there? And then the second question is, what types of eggs do you buy at a grocery store? Ooh, we've got two. Even better. Do you see the pull up on your screen? Do you see the questions? No? Okay. I'll tell you the answers then. How about that? So what part of the egg does the chick use for food? Do you remember me saying it? The answer is the yolk. It's that pretty yellow piece in the middle, right? That's my favorite part of the egg too, so I get it. And then my second question was, what types of eggs do you buy at the grocery store? The answers are either fertilized or unfertilized. And grocery store eggs are unfertilized, so they don't turn into a chick, because that would be scary, cracking an egg open and there being a whole chicken inside. And then, are you a 4-H member? You can do thumbs up or thumbs down. If you don't know what 4-H is, then I bet you it's thumbs down. Awesome, thank you. Do you have any questions? If you do, you can type them into that chat box at the bottom. If not, that's okay too. Ooh, why are some eggs white and some are brown? That's a very good question. I believe it's the feathers. Whatever color the feathers are is whatever color the egg is going to be. So if you have a darker chicken, you know how a lot of chickens are white, the ones you see on TV, a lot of times they're just white chickens. I think there's probably a lot more of them, and that's where you get white eggs. But then if you have like brown and darker chickens, and I think it's just the pigments that are in their bodies. So the darker chickens just have darker pigments running through their bones, and then they come out with darker eggs. And some people say they taste different. It'll be interesting to see. You should try one of each. You should crack a white one, you should crack a brown one, and you should taste them. See if one tastes better than the other. Do you guys want to see what it looks like when a chick grows inside of an egg? I have pictures of that. Let's do that. We've got plenty of time. Okay, let's go to him. Okay, can you see the Chick Quest 21-day challenge? Thumbs up, good. Okay, so it takes 21 days for a chick to grow inside of an egg. So the hen, see there's a white chicken already. The hen grows the egg, and then when it's ready, it pops out, and you see the eggs that you might see usually in your carton. But when it's fertilized, when there's a rooster around to help it grow, you have a chick. So day one, this takes 21 days. Day one, it has that germ spot, which on my egg, and if you crack one open at home, you'll see just this tiny little white dot in the middle. But if it's fertilized, it'll have more white. It'll have more cells in there to be able to start growing a chick. And I guess it looks like a donut, they say, a donut shape. So day one, day two, there starts to be some tiny little red lines like blood vessels that you can kind of sometimes see in your arm. Those will start growing on the yolk. Day three, a heart begins to beat. So just 3 days in for a fertilized egg, a heart starts to beat. And you can see those blood vessels a little bit more. And then day 4, so the brain divides into 3 parts, so it starts to grow a real brain. And both eyes are visible, so you can start to see, oh, screen sharing is paused. Why? Let me try again. Okay, day 4, thumbs up. We good? Day 5, okay. Shout at me again if it stops. I'll reset it. Okay, day 5, the limbs, so little chicken feet, and the tail begin to form. And it starts to look like a C. Little tiny chicken there starts to look like a C. Day 6, so it has that brain already, but now it has the heart, the brain, and the eyes are very prominent. So you can see that little eye there. And a beak appears. So it starts to get that little pointy heart part. And it starts to move a little bit. And again, these aren't in your grocery store eggs. You won't see this if you crack one open. Do not fear. Day 7, the egg tooth, they call it an egg tooth when it's that tiny. It appears at the tip of the beak, and the comb, that red part that sits on top of a chicken's head, that begins to grow. Day 8. So this is what it might look like inside, but the upper and lower beak are equal in length. So instead of just that one tiny piece, they're starting to get like a real beak. The wings and legs are easier to see and the neck is longer, so it's just growing a little bit bigger and bigger. Looks kind of funny there at 8 days because we're going to 21 days. Day 9, toes and feathers begin to form and the mouth opening appears. So it's growing even more. Day 10, it's really starting to look like a chick now, kind of. But that egg tooth forms at the tip of the upper beak. And that egg tooth is what it's going to use to eventually crack through the shell and break out. And it starts to get those down feathers, so the tiny little soft feathers. Day 11, the eyelids grow over their eyes and they have some more tail feathers. So before it was just eyeballs popped in there, but now they have eyelids, which is good. Day 12, they start having ear openings. Well, you can see them. I think they probably always had them. And then they have fully formed toes. So their toes are good. They're done at day 12. And then they're just getting some more feathers. Looking more and more like a little chick. Day 13, those toenails and scales that are on their legs. If you've ever seen legs of a chicken, they look kind of scaly like a lizard. And it just keeps growing, getting bigger and bigger. Day 14, the embryo now turns its head so it's towards the wider end. And if you remember the picture, the worksheet where we filled out the different parts, the wider end is where that little air pocket is. So it turns its head so it's pointing towards the air pocket. And then there's more feathers. You can kind of see them in this picture. They're stuck to his little body. Day 15, it just keeps growing. Bigger, more feathers. 16, now you can really see the feathers. It's growing rapidly, so it's growing very quickly. And the albumin, so all that egg white, it's been absorbed into the chick. So as it's growing, it's eating the yolk and it's absorbing all the proteins that are in that egg white to make it big, because protein is what builds muscles. So it works kind of the same with chickens. And that yolk is still there. Day 17, the air cell is getting longer, so it's getting ready for the chick to be able to break through that air cell, and so it can breathe. Everything's pointing towards the air cell, that air pocket. Day 18, it's getting ready to hatch because we're going to 21 days and we're at 18. And the remaining yolk is absorbed through the navel, which is its belly. So just like humans, you know how you have a belly button? Chicks kind of have them too under their feathers. So that yolk is going straight into its belly. And then day 19, the beak pips, which is that really pointy point on the end of a chick's beak. They poke that into the air pocket so they can breathe. They can start breathing. They got to practice before they come out. So then they start breathing just that tiny bit of egg or air that's in the egg. And then day 20, the yolk's been absorbed. It's all inside the chick. Now it's just a chick and a shell and a little bit of air. And it says pipping begins, which pipping is when, have you ever seen in a movie or in video or in real life, if you've seen it in real life, how the chick or any birds start breaking through really slowly? They just like peck a little bit and they peck a little bit and it starts to break and little pieces of shell pop off. So that's what pipping is. And then day 21. So you can see it takes them a while, but once they get a few of the pieces off, they can start breathing the air that we're breathing, and they can take their time because it's exhausting for a tiny little chick to break all the way through the shell and pop out. And now they can breathe fresh air. So that's 21 days of a chick growing inside of an egg. That's pretty quick because 21 days is less than a month. Any questions from that? I'm 44. I'll give you a little bit of time to type if you want. If not, we'll just stare at each other. And that's it. There's the handout. So if you didn't see the handout on that front page of the Celebrate Science website, where you click the link to join this meeting, there's a handout down there. If you wanna open it and quiz people, you can quiz your parents unless they're in there and they heard it, because that's cheating. But you can give other people the worksheet and see if they can figure out what all the different parts are, and it explains what they are. So you can do all your homework, do it all over again, right? All right, well, thank you for joining me, both of you, because I know there's 2 of you over there. And I hope you guys have a good day. Are you gonna go to more lessons today? Yeah, good. All right, well, thanks for joining me. You're welcome. Bye-bye.